Thanks for joining us today to, to take a quick look at our Pulse e-commerce software. This is software that we developed about 15 years ago with the goal of helping our customers totally eliminate manual keying of customer orders into Macola, and along with that, improving accuracy. So for those of you who are not familiar with our company, we have been in business forever. All of our customers, 90% of our customers are manufacturers. The rest are distributors. We've worked with the Macola software hands-on every day for 30 plus years. And we are located in Cincinnati. And what we do is we develop software that makes your Macola software much, much easier to use. And you'll see that as we go along today. Okay, so we're going to, if one of your goals has been to totally eliminate or reduce manual keying of customer orders, you're in the right place, because that's what we've developed here. So the idea being that when we first developed this 15 years ago, we developed it for a customer that had their own e-commerce website, and they had so many orders coming in that they could not find enough temporary workers. They were in a remote area. They could not find enough people to key in the orders. So we developed this software that would take orders from their website and import them directly into Macola. And from that point, things have expanded. So I'll read what it says here. The eliminates tedious, that tedious keying and improves accuracy. So we're bringing in orders. The first area is websites. It could be your website. It could be a Shopify website. It could be Amazon. It could be Walmart. It doesn't matter. As long as it has some kind of an interface, we can import orders. The second area, which is more recent, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we started importing orders from EDI services, and that might be SBS Commerce or IBM. But the idea is that you didn't need to subscribe to a service to bring those into Macola. We could do that. The next example here is PDF files. That's a little bit premature right now. What we're doing is there are people out there that can convert PDF files, which would be a purchase order to your company. They can convert that to a text file. The difficulty is that most of them are extremely expensive for Macola customers. But just this past week, we were made aware of a company that will do this very, very economically. So you'll hear more about that. In some cases also, if you just have a text file, we can import from that. And then the idea being that if you're using EDI software, there's an obligation to send back an advanced shipping notice, to send back an acknowledgement. If you're using Event Manager, we can send the acknowledgement just on a fax or an email. We also have the ability to send back invoices, which would be EDI 810s. Some people have the need to send back tracking numbers or to monitor or communicate back and forth inventory levels. And we can do that as well. So a lot of flexibility, a lot of options. It's really interesting. Shopify, like 6 months ago, Shopify was really, really hot, and so we were working on that. Now, Amazon is back, so it kind of comes and goes. But the point being that we've developed an interface where we can map the file that you've been presented in a way that we can get it into Macola. And I should mention that all of our software products work with all versions of Macola, Macola Progression, Macola ES, Macola 10. Doesn't matter what version of each one you're on, we can do that. So this depicts this chart here. We're just about to dive into the software. This chart shows, kind of depicts how things work here. So on the far left side, you're seeing e-commerce orders, websites, Shopify, Amazon. Below that, we're seeing EDI. Below that, we're seeing PDF files. That's a little premature, but they're coming into this dashboard. And for those of you who are using our Pulse dashboard and analysis software, you know that we don't just shove data into Macola because we're wanting to make sure that everything is accurate. So we are displaying on the screen if there are any errors. And we are performing all the same data validation rules. We follow all the rules for data validation that are in Macola. But what customers like the most is that they can correct the errors on the screen. And I'll give you some examples about that. You say, well, how could we have errors on the screen? How could we have errors? We had a customer once where the marketing manager would create, it was a retail environment, they would create a two for one special that would start up on Monday. So you would buy one, get one free, buy one. Anyway, the website and Macola couldn't handle that because that hadn't been known to us. So the idea being that it showed what was on the screen. So before they could fix the website and fix the that ability, because they needed a different part number, they were able to fix the data on the screen. And you'll see that in a moment. But the point being that any error that's there can be corrected on the screen. You don't have to go back to the template or the Excel file or the CSV file. And then it's pushing the next one. Once the orders commit, they're in Macola. Then if you're using EDI, we can send back order acknowledgments. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the Knowledge Sync software, some people call it Event Manager, some people call it Knowledge Sync, but it's designed under any circumstance. You don't have to be using our software here to send back order acknowledgments, to send back advance shipping notices or customer invoices via email or via fax. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the software. Okay, so what I have up here is I'm just going to click on Import Orders. And I'll do this. I'll come back and do this a few more times. Okay, so it brought in like 12 orders. And the idea, I'm going to clear the screen here. Don't worry about this red. It's there on purpose. I'm wanting to emphasize the speed at which it can read an order, each of the line items on the order, and then validate everything. So I'm going to click on Import Orders again. You can see how many it's processing. And each one of these orders has, in this particular case, this first order had 14 line items on it. So it's validating the item numbers, the location, and the pricing. Sometimes the pricing will come in, whatever your rules are, if you're letting the pricing come in or you're using your price code. Okay, so I talked before that we've developed a mapping engine so that you can easily bring in data. Let me show you an example of what that might look like. Okay, I'm going to open up the CSV file for what I just showed you on the screen. And it just contains a batch number, contains a date, it contains a customer number, it contains an item number, and it contains a quantity. The pricing is done within Macola. Here, let's open this, see it's a little easier. The pricing is done in Macola. This is like the simplest level. Let's take one that's a little bit more complex. Like, for example, that did not have individual ship to locations on it. Okay, so here's a situation where we have these look like retail orders are going out to they require to have the email address. Here's the contact name. If I deleted this for confidentiality, but there would be an address 1, address 2, city, state, zip. keep moving over here. City, state, zip, country, the phone number, the product that's being ordered, the quantity, and so on. And so you can get so you can see that there's no programming. This is very, very simple. And when the order comes into Macola, it's the same as if you had pressed F5 on your keyboard to assign the next order number and then go from there. Okay, so now you have a little bit of familiarity with what the file looks like. Let's go back here, kind of refresh our memory. I'm going to clear this for a second. We'll come back in. Okay, so what I'm wanting to do at this point is show you more details of what we have here. And I know everybody's curious about what this red order is here. So I wanted to demonstrate how the system can detect an error and what you can do to fix that. So I'm going to hover over this little mark over here, and it says item number. No inventory item number can be found with this. So I'm going to open up the order. I'm going to click on open up the order. So here it is. This is another order. It has 14 line items on it. And this item number, it doesn't like. Now, if I hover over here, it'll say it can't be found. So what you would do as the user is you would just simply click on here. I'll do that again. I'm just clicking on and it's telling me, okay, I need to look that up. So I'm going to put in data, D-A-T-A. Well, look what's happened here. It's supposed to be D-A-T-A-B-U-S, one S, and they messed it up and put in two S's. So I'm just going to click on the part number. I'll do this again to show how easy. And then I'm going to, there's no save function. It's saving it real time. And anything else up here that you could look at that maybe needed to be changed, you could do that. So at this point, everything is white, which means it's ready to push into Macola. And then in the upper right, that's where I would just click on this button that would say push orders into Macola. So let's do that again to show you the flexibility and how easy this can be. I'm going to wipe these out and start over again. And what we're demonstrating is how easy it is. I'm clicking on the bad order. I'm clicking on the bad item number. And I can see that it's BUS. So I click on that. Everything is white. Everything is ready. And we're done. So what I didn't mention at the beginning was this is going to be a quick demo. The magic of all of this is the mapping tools, and we help you with that. Bart, are there any questions that have arisen so far?
Yeah. First question is, if we were to have additional or new trading partners after purchasing this, how much programming knowledge does the team need in order to add on a new trading partner?
You don't need any. I'll give you an example here of how this is our integration settings. And let me find, I think this is the one we're using. So what it's saying here is these are all the fields in Macola. These are all the fields that are coming in on the mapping. So we have in this particular one, we're looking up we're using the customer number that's coming in. There's an order number, and we're saying that all orders coming in are an I-type order. They could be O-types or they could be I-types. And you're just simply mapping against, you have a list of 8 or 10 or 15 fields, and the idea being that you're having to map those in here. Let me go into the line item here. It's a little bit more complex. Now, you're going to say maybe, well, gosh, there's a lot of fields in Macola. What are we doing there? Well, it's really no different than as if you were keying this in manually. It's using the default value, or maybe it's a blank, maybe it's a zero. Um, in this particular case, the product category would be blank. And this is no, there are no back orders here. That's for a credit memo. Now, we can also do some other things that are fancy. Let's say that your industry is such, that your customers are such that some of the data needs to be manipulated. Maybe we need to look up some data. So at this point, there's been no programming at all. But if there was some extenuating circumstance, we would be available to help you. And we have a customer that came to us about 3 or 4 years ago, in Ohio, and they wanted to use the software, but they wanted to do the whole thing themselves. So we trained them on the first mapping, and then they had 19 more trading partners that they work with, and they did the rest themselves. So you can set this up again here. The default values might be nothing. It might be a lookup field within Macola. It might be a static value. It might have a SQL script that goes with it. And so on. And one of the other things that we're doing since we're in here is we have a folder that's dedicated to inbound orders. And then we also, after we process them, we move all of the file, the Excel file or the text file, we're moving that into a path that tells us that it's working okay. So in other words, if the customer were to call and say, I don't know what happened, but you didn't process any of my orders, you lost my orders, you could look in that file of orders, which is permanent to be every order forever. If it's not in there, you could be able to tell them that you never, that they are the ones that messed up here. They didn't send you the order. So I hope you got an idea here. Then you can copy the mappings from one to the other. And that's usually what we do. These are some samples that we have, and we're just copying those. But during the initial setup, unless it's super complicated, that's all covered under the initial setup. All the work that has to be done. Now, for some people who are into EDI and they don't want to train people or have somebody with that knowledge in-house, we have become the de facto EDI department for some of our customers, so that when your trading partner sends you a file that can't be processed, they call us, and then we deal with your trading partner or so on. Other questions, Bart?
Yeah, so I think you kind of started along this. Once they're live and if they have any questions, how does your support work?
Oh, well, we have a dedicated support desk. We have two support desks, one for Macola day-to-day questions and the other for custom software, our products, our Pulse family. And the way things are is if one person is busy or on vacation or tied up, your support message is sent to 2 or 3 other people. So there's always somebody who's getting it. And so we cover a lot of it are going to be basically simple things, but the details count, and so we're there to help you with that.
Okay. If anybody else has any additional questions, feel free to just click on the questions area and just type it on the screen.
And then some of these up here, we have a few more minutes that we have an option where we export your item file. So if you're sharing your item file with the website, whether it be item numbers or on-hand quantities, we can do that. So this screen, this is a screen, like if you're using our Pulse dashboard software, this is the same screen as we use there to look at orders. But this just, for flexibility, just gives you the ability to make changes up here if you needed to. And we have some customers who are wanting to track cubic meters of the order. So it's just a lot of details down here. And that's it. So what you haven't asked is, what does this cost? So the software, everything that you've seen, this is an $8,000 piece of software. We charge 15% for setup and training. And then on an annual, that's a one-time. And then on an annual basis, we charge 20% per year, unlimited phone calls, unlimited training. We jokingly say even unlimited retraining. So if somebody hasn't used it in a while, or somebody's on vacation or so. But this has been a tremendous help to a lot of customers that are, we have customers that are bringing in thousands of orders a day, or they're bringing in an order that has 100 line items on it. So can you imagine keying an order in that? These orders here are pretty simple. These are just 14 line items. But imagine you bringing in an order that has 100 line items, and you're the one that has to key it in. And the expectation is that you've not made any errors, no quantity errors, no part numbers, and so on. So this really is helpful. We have a customer, I remember, out in the Mid-Plains states, that said that this software was like having Christmas every day. So in terms of, this was a present that her boss had given to her. It was like having Christmas every day, Christmas present.
One more question, Mike?
Sure.
Okay. So a customer has a website that they're taking orders, and they want to be able to extract from Macola their current inventory up onto the website. Want to know if eCommerce will enable this?
Yep. That's where this function here is the items here. You're exporting your item file, which then would go up to the website. Yep, so good questions. And since we're using the DevExpress rapid development software, these fields, you can move all these fields around as you want to, or you can sort on the fields, or you can filter on the fields. So a lot of flexibility. You can add additional fields that aren't on here. So for example, these are fields that are not, if they were needed, they could easily be put on your screen, but in this particular case, they were not needed. Okay, well, we're going to finish early. Appreciate everybody's taking time out. This is the beginning of the year. This is a busy time of year for a lot of people. But again, if there's a file, if your trading partner or your customer or the website can give us a file of some sort, and we have recommended file layouts. If they have a file of any sort, then that means we can import those orders. And I think one of the exciting things I'll leave you with, a lot of people get orders in a PDF format. And as I was mentioning at the very, very beginning, that format right now can be done for a lot of money per month. But there are some new players. It's like that whole area is revealing itself. There are players out there, software vendors, that have that technology at a nominal cost. So we'll keep you posted on that. But again, use that example of one order with 100 line items. nobody wants to key that in. So, okay, well, thank you all for your attention today. If this is something of interest and you'd like a quote or you'd like a private demonstration, please give us a call. And again, the software is $8,000. And I should mention also, we have an unattended version of this. So I'll tell you what that means. Right now, I'm having to import the orders, and I can see them on the screen. But this is really in situations where maybe you're just getting started or you don't trust who you're working with and you want the ability to fix things. So the unattended version, what it does is it goes to the website. Let's say it's Shopify, goes to Amazon, goes wherever, pulls the order, polls to see if there are orders available, and then automatically pushes them into Macola. If there are errors, what it does is, like in this case here, it would take all of the orders except for the last one and would push that into Macola. So the unattended version technically does what's called polling. It's polling the folder for orders, or it's polling the website to see if there are orders. And you can set that polling interval. It doesn't make sense if you're only getting 5 orders a day to poll every 5 minutes. So maybe you could poll 2 or 3 times a day. But that's an exciting feature that we've added some time ago. And I'm sure that you've forgotten to ask questions about things as soon as you hang up, or there are areas that I have forgotten. So feel free to give us a call and talk more details or do another demonstration. Okay, Happy New Year. For those of you who are working with some of our existing products, we appreciate your support. So thanks very much. Okay, bye-bye.